Today, today, as we start the show, this one mic. We hail Sanders throughout the stadium. There is a pause throughout the stadium as this man sounds like he just coughs up a lung. They're looking around. The Jumbotron shows and pans the cheerleaders, and as it goes down each cheerleader's face, each one breaks up into laughter, which at this particular time destroys half the stadium. The other half is still trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Does this guy need CPR or something? And then at that particular time, I lost it. Devon's brother. Yes, today.
Blog Talk Radio.
Show this one mic.
Phoenix is another place. They got a great training staff. They were able to breathe life back into Shaq. And if you can do that, people talk a lot about their training staff.
Blog.
Yes, today, as we start this show, this one mic.
Yes, today, as we start this show, this one mic. Yeah, it feels good to be back in the building, doing what we doing. My boy Hammer was up there, then he dropped off, and so we'll bring him back. You know how that's happening. He's somewhere in the South hanging out with the SEC people. So he'll be, I would say Hammer, he might be on location. So we have to figure out how we get him back in. Oh, there he is. All right, we're going to figure out how to do this again and get them back into the mix with us. Boom. There you go. He's somewhere location. Look like he in the witness protection program, but that's okay. We love him over there. He's in the South. He got his ear on the street. When we start talking to Signing Day,
I'm in Bruce City.
What's going on with Georgia? He gonna tell us what's going on with Bama down there, because I know he's hearing something on the street down there in his location. So it's gonna be fun. But let's get to introductions. Before we get started, though, I want to thank our good friends from Red Insurance Group, who will be the sponsors for this segment. Red Insurance Group is where educators can get more than just insurance. Go to redinsurancegroup.com to get your needs if you're educators looking for additional auto insurance, insurance and support, as well as to learn more about the other things they do for educators and supporting them in their mission. So I want to thank our good friends at Red Insurance Group for all they do and supporting us. They've been a really good support of here of RSG. Before I get into this, let me bring in my fam here up in here. What's up, Hammer? How you doing over there?
I'm doing well, man. It's great, blessed in the land of living, as we say.
That's right.
Yeah, so just doing great, GSU, and really looking to chop it up. It's been a couple weeks, so yeah, great to see the crew. Everybody looking fresh and smooth. I see Darnell got a nice cut representing. So look forward to chopping up. We got a lot of things have gone on since we've met together. So we need to pontificate and
yes.
Let's get going. Let's get
into the business. Let's get into the business. Youngin, how you doing, Darnell? Everything good? Darnell Kirkland Jr.
Man, I'm as happy as ever. We almost had to do an emergency podcast. I wasn't going to call everybody up because of what happened on early signing day, man. I don't remember the last time I was that happy before. But yeah, we're gonna get into it.
We're gonna get into it, boy. Signing day, and we might not be able to pull everything out here out front because a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes on signing day. We might have to talk about the ugly side of signing day we ain't gonna name no names because we ain't in that position right now. But we all kind of have there's just things that happen on signing day that as you get closer to this business, you were like, wow, the ugly side of signing day. And we wonder why these kids get in the portal. So we'll talk about some of this stuff, as much as we can here. This is going to be a lot about that. I say in Hammer, I realized we got a rising star when they come over on this one. Darnell Kirkland Jr. over here. Oh my goodness. I mean, our text box. I mean, forget it, Adam Schefter. His cat has been on all of this stuff, boy. So Y'all gonna learn a lot. I'm gonna learn a lot on this. But we're gonna get into the
I'm gonna learn
open
a
mic.
lot. Yeah, I mean
We're gonna get into open mic. We have 3
he's a
segments
black
to this podcast.
247.
Open mic.
He's a black 247. Real talk.
That's right. We'll get into the heart of this, the open mic, where we gonna kind of get y'all warmed up and talking about some big things happening in the world of sports, and then we're gonna get into the cipher. We're gonna really talk about the signing day in college. Early signing day for college football. A lot of interesting things have happened. Is the landscape shifting under our feet, or is this just something that is limited to, and we'll get more deep to this kind of circumstance. But we've kind of seen some things happening on the basketball side that we're seeing more and more happen here on the football side. It's going to be interesting to talk about that. Then we're going to drop the mic and have we kind of, that's in, we are all three handling. We normally have our fourth guy up here, my man Hank, who is in transition, but I put out some feelers. I've been talking. We'll see a reemergence here soon to get us back, with our 4-person front over here, but we like New Edition. We like BBDs. We just said, hey, we gonna all spin and make it happen. But soon we'll have the group come back, so we'll drop the mic. But we'll get in here to the open mic. The best way I can describe it, I got to do it. This is in the spirit of my man Hammer. I'm just calling this the debacle. Urban Meyer just crashes and burns in Jacksonville. But the only way we can sum this up in one thing, the debacle of what was going on in Jacksonville. Man, to tell you the truth, I didn't think there was going to be a move in Jacksonville if there was going to be a move until the end of the season. But when that happened, I was like, wow. I would have loved to have been in that room. Let me start with you, Hammer, and then I'll move on over to the youngin about this, man. The craziest thing about this is it feels like the rookie quarterback was like the adult in the room. It's like Trevor Lawrence is like, the calming face in the room in a way that you normally don't. That's usually the head coach, or that's usually the owner. Like, when you looked at this, what was your thought when you heard the announcement about Urban Meyer being fired?
I wasn't surprised at all. I thought it was Bush League to do it at midnight so people would hear about it in the morning to sort of, I'm sure Sean's PR people told him to do that to get on top and really control the story. So it's smart PR-wise. I think that if you know the game, though, you think it's foul in the sense that because the decision was made, so it was announced at midnight. But it's no surprise to me. Again, Shad, this is a thing. Shad is he's an Illinois guy. Illinois engineer, guy. But let's just keep real. Shad ain't no football guy. Let the football guys do football. And this is the problem where you have a guy who and everyone knows I got contacts in Gainesville. Physical contact, that person is. Urban's wanted this job. He thought this was the dream job for him. And the bottom line is that he has a lot of character flaws. I don't care about, again, I'm not holier than thou talking about the guy's marriage. It's not my business. But if you're going to be out in these streets doing your thing, that just shows very poor judgment. The Josh Lambo, who's, he's from Wisconsin, y'all, Middleton. So he allegedly kicked him. This guy doesn't get it. So the college game and the pro game just are two different animals, especially if you have someone the ego of Urban Meyer. It just was a debacle, waiting to happen. And I didn't like the staff he put around him. Trent Baalke's not good. The bottom line is that Shad needs to get somebody like Louis Riddick. And seeing, I don't know if you saw Louis Riddick's thing on ESPN, not get plugged, but just the passion of him talking about this firing just blew me away. Just talking about how he didn't earn it, and he was given the kitchen, the store, and totally blew it. So it was a visceral reaction. But Lewis is really surprised because Lewis is usually, I'm not saying he was out of control, but just to see the passion of Lewis was done. But it doesn't surprise me at all. Urban is not equipped. It reminds me of Lou Holtz, Bobby Petrino, Chip Kelly. This is a different game, and these ain't 18 to 21-year-olds that you could, before the NILs, just control and bully and pummel. These are grown men, and grown man gonna take Urban Meyer stuff. And you need one thing said about it, Urban's an excellent analyst. I mean, I'd love to see him in the booth again, but his brand is so damaged that you can't even put him in the booth.
Yeah,
So it's just
I think you're hitting on a little thing, and Darnell, Feinbaum also went scorched earth on him as well. And I mean, I know you paid attention to college football and tracked him. I think that happened. Like there were a lot of things that we knew about Urban Meyer in terms of how he handled. He got the product to work on the field, but he's left programs where they've been in shatters. What were some of your thoughts as you start to think about how this adds up, and you see people like Feinbaum and other folks who, I mean, using terms like dirtbag. I mean, you talk about I've never seen anybody, as many people do a public indictment like of a person. Like I've seen people come out of woodworks on Urban Meyer, what the kind of success he had. So what's been your reaction as you think about where this is and where he was, as a coach at Jacksonville?
Well, as far as him leaving Ohio State, I mean, he left that in a better place than he found it. But as far as the things that we've seen from him in his past, like as far as Ohio State, you had the Zach Smith incident,
Yeah.
where he kept him around, and of course in Jacksonville, it started off that way. I mean, it started off on his first course of action when he signed the strength coach from Iowa. Already had allegations of like a racial history. You know what I'm saying? Under his belt, and so it already started off on the wrong foot. By the end of the day, is you got the sense that, well, back then you kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt, saying that maybe he himself is not like this. He just it's not a deal breaker for him. You know what I'm saying? One of those kind of things. But nah, if Vince Fangio was gonna come out and Urban Meyer to hear about him kicking a player is absolutely ridiculous. That was probably one of the craziest things I've heard. It's almost going back to like the Woody Hayes, when Woody Hayes put hands on that Clemson player so many years ago. But like to hear something like that happen in 2021 was crazy. And that's pretty much my takeaway. Is like this stuff is going on now. I mean, he knew to pick the kicker, because he wasn't gonna run up on a lineman like that and just
No.
Man, we would
That
have
tell
heard
you
about
right
that
there.
a long time ago.
That tell you right there everything about him, because he was
you're
very
gonna pick on Josh
targeted about who he
Allen.
picked.
Yeah, I mean Josh Allen, the DN.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick on Josh Allen.
No. He'd have found himself all up in the locker room, in the locker. And that's the difference. When he first came on, that was the thing I said, look, these cats got mortgages. These cats got kids. These cats got families. Like, you're not going to come to these folks who are trying to pay mortgages like you did these college kids. And I just didn't think he understood that. He thought he had a level of control. You always know you got a problem. This is the way you judge it. When the people who you messing with, by all accounts, got loved by everybody. So when you start getting people like Marvin Jones, you get people like James Robinson, who are pretty quiet, solid citizens. When they become the issue, you in trouble. Like that right there should have told everybody. When Joe when he's willing to walk out of practice, that right there should have been I don't know if we've ever had a problem, ever heard anything of him ever have a problem anywhere he go. Nothing but good things from what I understand. And so you at that point, I'm like, this is not even fire. This is like California blazing. This is that California blazing type stuff going on over there. And they knew this, and this is why, when you have owners like this who are used to being in power and used to just willing things and not really thinking about the context. When you buy a team, you want the team to be successful. That means you want to get the best people around you. And a lot of times you want to get people smarter than you around you. I mean, usually that's the formula to success. And when you don't do that, you're going to find yourself, in really tough circumstances. And so, it's one of those things. So do you? How long? Look, okay, let's talk about this. Everybody gonna say this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Put your timeline on when he gonna end up on somebody's college campus. I'll start with you, Darnell.
Put a timeline on it. The thing about it is this coaching carousel. Like if this would have came down a little bit earlier, I would have said this next year. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll give it a year. By next off season, he'll be on another college campus.
You
2
share that?
years. You can't. Mo's here. What's up, Mo?
Saturday morning.
Yeah,
Good
man.
morning.
We in the middle of
You got
production.
camera?
He jumping up, but we can't say that because we got him on here as a
That's
sponsor.
up.
We got to find a way to get him into the.
He's a special guest. He's sponsoring, so he
We
can
got
come
to
on.
find a way now to bring
No,
him on
I say
in.
2 years.
Yeah, we got to bring him on in now. You got me working my technical stuff. We can't have a crowd out here like what's going on in these streets. All right, we gonna get this right.
What's up in Rock City? What's up?
We gonna put you in the middle.
What's up in Winnebago County? What's up?
What's up? What's up? We
Illinois.
and while we at it, because I want to have proof on it. While we at it, we gonna put Red Insurance Group up here so people understand that we believe in our sponsors. We ain't just out there in these streets. And this how we rock with our sponsors. They come rock with us. See, we don't pick no sponsors.
That's love.
We don't rock with us.
Yeah.
We get love. We get love.
This is what we do.
Sir.
We don't pick no
Saturday.
Yeah. Timing is ready.
Hey, I'm just popping in Saturday morning. Y'all switch it up so I can Saturday morning I can join y'all to see what's going on, all the news happening. I just want to hear the real sports guys talking about what's happening in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, D. Wills, I think 2 years. I think that you can't hire him next year. I just think he's gonna have to do like a redemption type tour.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to get back on. He's gonna have to be.
He got to go to Nick Saban. That's what you're saying. He got to go to Nick Saban. He got to get that
on Fox because I think Stoops is terrible. So I think they'll replace Stoops. But then, ESPN might. The bottom line is he needs to have a contrition.
He can't go to ESPN because half the cats on ESPN was scorched earth. He can't go to ESPN. I thought about it as he he could be your colleague next week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, again, but it's business though. Yeah. It's business though, G. Wills. They don't like each other. Let's be real. You read the book about the backs to ESPN. They hate each other. So it's about making money. The cats don't like it, but they like making money. And so the bottom line is that if Urban can add value, which he can, Urban's an excellent analyst. Nobody can take that away from. I saw that dude break down Big Ten stuff on Big Ten Network. I'm like, this dude knows his stuff.
Oh, he knows his stuff.
Stay in the studio.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
So that's the thing about it. So I say, but you can't bring him back after you need to bring him back in 2 years. The contrition tour is the first year where he's got rehabilitates himself. In the second year, then that's when he can show I'm a change. You'll never be a change guy. We saw stuff in Florida. Florida was like Sodom and Gomorrah running around there with Aaron Hernandez and the cats, all the cats were arrested. So we know he oversees chaos. They win, but he oversees chaos. He allows things to happen. But I can't see next year happening for him. I think 2 years, and because I think he can rehabilitate himself, and people are gonna want him in that booth, man. He's an excellent analyst.
Yeah.
You might not like the guy, but the guy was very good. Like Bob Stoops is a clear.
He's done.
Clear downgrade from you have to put him down. Bob's trying his best, but sometimes things don't work out.
Well,
he ain't that good. So
we'll track. I think y'all probably right, but dark horse might be next year. Because we're not through the bowl season yet. We ain't through the bowl season, and folks like that want to show folks. Folks like him want to show folks that they was wrong. And they don't want to wait that long to do it. And we're not quite through. Like, people going to do bowls. I could tell you some people are looking at their coach sideways. Cats are walking in the rooms with different expressions from ADs and presidents than they used to. They walking in there and they can feel something because all these, like you said, all these AD and presidents are trying to find a way to do it. And I also think Urban's ego is so much he wants to get back in the ring. It's like a boxer who gets humbled and probably should take some tune-up fights and probably should do exactly what you talk about, Hammer, but they just can't do it. It's like what Teofimo might do. You just never know, and they just got to get in the ring and show you that they the guy again. Under other circumstances, his ego is so big, I don't think he can sit out that long and allow people to judge him that way. So it could be interesting. There might be a college president with the right job who might be like, I liked you today, but damn, Urban on the mic, we might have to have a conversation. You're right. If it would have happened if it happened earlier with the USC job and some of these other jobs on there, oh yeah, he would have been back in business quick on that one. So,
but the one thing you're underestimating is that there are other stories out there that have not been divulged yet. See, that's why I think it's gonna be 2 years.
He got some other stuff out there.
Stories. The people, because he's vulnerable now. He doesn't have the TV backup.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the coaching backup.
Yeah.
Now people will come out and show out.
That's why I say I think he's done. I think he's done coaching because I think the stories gonna come out.
He's done.
Everything's gonna come out.
If Hugh Freeze ain't done, he ain't done.
They gonna.
What you say, Mo?
Hey,
Hammer, hold on a second.
Any big time program to take him on now is gonna be real. That's gonna be a PR nightmare. I think so. I think he might be done as a coach.
Yeah, I've been around presidents, ADs. They all got egos. That you just would not think. Like they live in worlds that we don't live in. They live in these worlds where if we were in them worlds, we're like, you foolish if we gonna do that. But they make them kind of. All right, he's back. Uncle COVID is up in all of our sports, affecting all of our fantasy football, affecting our fantasy basketball. Don't crush my thing. It's back. It's back so bad that the Nets are considering to let Kyrie come back because, the landscape is so crazy. Nothing from nothing is nothing. It's like we thought we were going in one direction. It feels like we might be going back in the other direction. Let me start out with kind of a question around, you almost saw the NHL do this with, was it in Quebec or something like that, where they went to no fans or something like that. Darnell, should we go back to the bubble in some of these spaces? What? I know we probably move into endemic. Need to think about bubble. What do we need to do?
I don't know. You got to do something. I mean, the Omarion variant is here.
Omarion.
The Omarion variant is here.
His career is over, man.
That's what he called it now. He said, he first said that to me. I'm going to call it that now.
The whole league, you might as well bring Kyrie back. I mean, hey, but yeah, as far as bubbling, I don't know about that. I think it goes back to the league. Like, is the league willing to swallow that loss as far as the money goes, or were they going to thug it out and just do it the way they're doing it and suffer the consequences? But yeah, I think they're really in danger of NBA Finals being ruined by COVID. And really, if you think about it, last year almost was too, because if the Bucks were honest about the close contact thing, because if you think about it, how was Giannis not a close contact with his brother that was on the team that had COVID? But
he didn't play last night, so
you said last night. I'm talking about last year.
Last year, no game. Wow.
I'm talking during the finals when the brother when the Nationals caught COVID, and they do the close contact thing where you got to sit out a certain amount of days.
Yeah.
But no, they was like, no, Giannis wasn't with him. Giannis not with him. He was. But but that's just how fragile this thing is. Like, you see how COVID's ripping through the league. I think you got to consider it. You got to consider the bubble because I think the season is in danger.
Mo, what's your thoughts? And before we come, we got Maurice Red, president of Red Insurance Group, our sponsor for this episode. Red Insurance Group, where educators get more than insurance. Here, so we're glad that you're here. So talk to us about what's your thoughts. And you've been at some games as a referee, in Iowa and stuff like that. So you've seen the environment. You see how people come into these spaces as well. So you've seen some stuff up close and personal.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the sports world at this point, I think everybody's just kind of moving forward. So I don't see the NBA, the NFL, everybody else, they kind of gave away some money the last couple of years, so they're trying to get that money back now. So I think their attitude we saw here in Chicago with the Bulls, they finally canceled some games, but I think the NBA overall is like those owners like, we're getting our money back now. So you guys will have to push through it. The Nets or whoever else, the Bulls had like 8 players on the team, so I think unless it's a real dire situation, I think the league's both leagues, they're all professional leagues, are probably just gonna push through it. Canada's a little different because they're a little smarter up there than we are, I think, sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, and it's but you're seeing kind of how it's spreading through all the pro players, and I think obviously they're getting tested a lot more than the regular public is. So, I think that they're going to get a lot more kind of cases, but I think some of it's asymptomatic, and it's probably spreading throughout the general population, but we're not getting tested as much. So we're seeing a lot more cases in the professional leagues because they're actually getting tested a lot more than probably the average person is.
Hammer, but one of the things that people aren't talking about is one of the things you can do, as we see in Tampa Bay, in the way that they've handled it, is some of this stuff is because of also the way in which players are exposed because of lifestyle. I mean, one of the things I was talking to someone about is that, especially in the NBA, the other part of business that people don't talk about with these NBA players, and Shaq and them used to make a lot of money, like there's a scheduled activities and appearances when they travel that creates additional money when they're on the road. Like cats are having special parties when they're in Detroit. There's another part of this season that folks don't even know about that these players leverage to get money, and they're in space. Thursday nights for NFL players are hanging out. That's where they might be partying. Like there's a behavioral piece to this as well. What are some of your thoughts around some of the adjustments that might need to be made, similar to what you see in Tampa Bay, where coach was like, "Yeah, I ain't doing nothing," but you also see some policies around visitors and stuff like that.
Yeah, there are adjustments right now. We're seeing the roadmap, and so I agree with Mo and disagree respectfully with Darnell. What's going to happen, D. Will, is simply that this is endemic, as you said. And so COVID's going to be like the cold now. Let's just be real about it. That's what's going to happen with COVID, because especially the Bull situation being here locally, there are too many players in the team who are asymptomatic, who are not being debilitated by the virus. They're positive, but they're not debilitated. These are some of the healthiest young men in the world. And so, the fact that the Bulls have not been able to play, had a couple games shut down, they ironically going to let the Laker game go forward and then moved it from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock on TBS here to make more money. And as Mo said, there's too much money that's been lost on the table right now. Sadly, this is going to be a part of social Darwinism now, where it's endemic and we're going to have to deal with it like the flu, because too much money has been lost. Too many people's mental health has been destroyed because this virus is antithetical to the way we live. We'd have to totally change the way we live as human beings. Like, for instance, we have the holidays coming, and, some people are going to be careful, but some people be like, man, I didn't see my family last year. I'm going to see them.
That's right.
I'll just put full disclosure. I'm seeing my family this year, and I just found out this morning, I just put out there, 2 of my said cousins got COVID. So I had me a hotel room from the get-go. I'm gonna let them stay, go negative, and then or drop by. But I love being an ATL anyway. But this is just gonna be endemic, D. Wills, and so they're not gonna be shutting down games. They're also, if you know the new protocols and look them up, brother, because they talk about in the NFL, basically you can play now if you test positive. You know that, right? They have
Yeah,
changed
I
the
mean,
rules.
but
Asymptomatic.
it's test
And you
positive,
have the red,
but
you have the red
asymptomatic.
state,
If
blue
you're
state thing.
asymptomatic, right? If you're
Yeah, if it's
asymptomatic,
asymptomatic, precisely. And
yeah,
but
yeah.
most of them are
Most of them are.
asymptomatic, bro. The people who are suffering really are, sadly, I would say the linemen, because I think we have studies that have shown that, again, not putting down, I'm a big brother. Hey, I eat while but more fat cells, you're more
I know
exposed to
that.
COVID if you have more fat cells.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That's why I'm
that's
concerned,
been in the
right?
so the bottom line is that they're not going to shut down. There's too much going on. People are tired of the code. Like I was listening to one of our local radio shows, Park and Spiegel. You know them, Mo, on the score. Yeah, they broke it down. They're like we had one Spiegel had a close contact. He was doing the show from his crib. And then they were like, but you can go out. And they're just like, we're frustrated. Like, I mean, we're going to do the best we can under circumstances. We're triple vaccinated. We got 2 vaccines. We're boosted. The boosters, we have to get another booster soon. That's quite clear, because the boosters we got in October are wearing off, especially with the Omicron variant. And, again, it's going to be social and people who we already seen, if you're not vaccinated, you're going to be basically a pariah in a lot of parts of this country. But we're not shutting the country down again. The country cannot stand inflation sky high. And so that's the bottom line, is that, but as far as these special protocols, D. Wills, I just don't see them, because they're antithetical to the way we live. Like let's say, I've been around these athletes. They get it in, they're in the club. They're in a promotional. They're doing commercials. This world is built on personal contact, and so you're not going to shut it down unless we see some type of variant that just wipes people out. Like initially some of the things were when we had the non-vaccinated people, where when the initial parts of COVID said, I'm in Milwaukee right now. I know, brother. Say it just raged through and killed people left and right. Before it was like a scourge. It's not like that now, unless you have another variant. So
That's my
you'd be surprised. You'd be
Go ahead,
surprised
Darnell.
the mess out of me,
Darnell,
because
we'll let you get the final word.
I thought you was going to go the other way. I said Carl surprised the mess out of me, because I thought Carl would go the other way, because usually that would be opposition, but that's all I really had to say.
I'm doing reality, man. I mean, I think my viewpoints of COVID, that I think that we need to be more vigilant. And I'm very upset. These brothers insist. Well, forget these people in Milwaukee. I call everywhere. They're not wearing masks, and it's just crazy. They're not wearing masks. They think they're indestructible. And so, yeah, Darnell, it's not. I'm not giving you my personal view. I'm giving you my practical view. And D. Wills has known me for 10 years. There's a practical side of the hammer, and there is a personal side of the hammer. I am very concerned about these people with comorbidities who are going to catch from these players who go sadly pass away. And you have a lot of people who don't have healthcare access, who are going to suffer unvaccinated. And I would like to have stringent protocols, but it's not going to work. I mean, I've seen, we tried it for a year. People were committing suicide left and right. We have a crisis, you talk about another endemic crisis. Our overdose and opioid crisis has gone through the roof.
Yeah,
we got child mental illness now. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And the level of mental health crisis amongst athletes and student athletes has risen, because this becomes part of their cycle of wellness, their competition, and the way in which they've been able to have a release. And so you're finding, on the college level, on the high school level, on many levels, folks have had to ramp up ways in which they engage. And so you got to figure out how you navigate and live, but there still requires some really good choices that you have to make to try to minimize. So we'll keep our eye on this. You're watching One Mic. This is great. We got our man Mo Red from Mo Red Insurance over here. One of our key sponsors for On the Road and the sponsor for this episode. So it's good to have him here. We're about to go into Cypher. It was early signing day. We're going to be featuring Youngin a lot in this one. This has been incredible week in the early signing and college recruiting. A lot of good things, and we got to say, look, we've all watched prime time. Our man Deion Sanders for years. Some of us who've been around a long time. When he came on the scene at Florida State, we're like, who is this guy? Especially when you had the U, it was like he kind of balanced the equilibrium of the world of college sports. Because so much was about the U. He just came in and did his thing, and then he went on to the pros and did his thing in Atlanta. Reminded people that Atlanta was his house when he came back. And now he's trying to transform college sports, and he did it in an emphatic way that shifted. The one thing he said that I love, he said, "Don't let your players come to our homecoming." We all know what he meant by that. So this, they said, well, how did it happen? He came to a homecoming game. Travis Hunter, right? Came to the homecoming game. Everybody who's ever been to an HBCU homecoming game knew what he meant. But Darnell, we got to just give you love.
After the homecoming game, bro. After the homecoming.
Oh, it's after the homecoming game. Oh, he came to the after the homecoming game. But I was trying to check it. Darnell.
And before.
Yeah,
after the show was the after party.
Travis figured out what Biggie was talking about the Howard homecoming, but no.
Off the chain, bro.
No,
Darnell, I mean, I got stuff on this thing, but Darnell,
HBCU homecoming, bro.
Darnell, I want you to give us just like your initial impressions. We're all going to jump in on this, but I know you were just going. I mean, you were posting just your general impressions of what happened, for people who didn't have a chance to understand what happened between Jackson State and Florida State, but just your overall impressions of what's happening this early signing day, and who you think are the winners, who you think lost out, but just your overall impressions, and then we'll jump in where we can. But I love to be able to just feature you and to try to bring our listeners up to what's going on with this and why this is so important.
Well, my overall takeaway was, you see, the late in the recruiting cycle, late in the recruiting cycle flips and stuff that are going on, the different races that are going on, and of course with Travis Hunter was surprising because this is a guy that he's been locked up for a long time. Like Travis Hunter wasn't just a Florida State commit. Travis Hunter was a Florida State commit that was recruiting other players to come to Florida State. He was he was trying to bring that youth movement on. That it was part of the reason why Mike Norvell got that extension, because they believed in the view that something greater was coming, because they got this nice young class coming in, and now the leader of the class is going somewhere else. And I was listening to 24/7 their signing day live, the live stream, and when Steve Wiltfong says, like, I think it was during a commercial break, he said, "I'm hearing that something's going on with Travis Hunter, and I'm hearing that he might flip to Jackson State." And that's when I texted you guys. I was like, Jackson State, man, but it makes sense now you think about it, because Deion Sanders is one of probably the best cornerbacks to ever play the game, and Deion Sanders is probably the best recruiter. I know he haven't had a whole lot of chance to prove it, but shoot, let Deion get around these players' parents and let him talk for a little while, and he'll prove himself. He if anybody can talk and sell football in general, man, Deion Sanders, he's the man to do it. And he said something amazing in that interview that he did. I think he did on KJM with Keyshawn and Max Kellerman and Jay Williams. He said he called Travis Hunter and he said, you know when you come to Jackson State, you're gonna play both ways, so you better be in shape. Like, he was saying stuff like that, and I was like, man, he got me ready to run through the wall. Like, I'm like, man, if I might have to come out of retirement and walk on at Jackson State. I mean, I'm ready to go play for Deion right now. And if you're talking about who are the winners of the signing day, obviously, of course, Jackson State, because they pulled the number one player in the whole country. But on top of that, I know I texted you guys about this earlier, but Texas A&M cleaned house. Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher, he is coming. he's here. Well, he's here. They beat Alabama this year. He was the first former Saban assistant to beat him as a head coach. But if you look in the top 10, we talking about SEC bias. This is where the SEC bias comes from. Because I'm gonna tell you the number one. I'm gonna just read off the top 10 players in this class. Number 1, Travis Hunter, Jackson State. Number 2, Walter Nolan, Texas A&M. Number 3, Drew Aller, Penn State. Number 4, Malachi Starks, Georgia. Number 5, Evan Stewart, Texas A&M. Number 6, he's not committed, Harold Perkins, but heavy Texas A&M lean. Number 7, another one, Shamar Stewart, heavy Texas A&M lead, but he hasn't signed yet. Number 8, Gabriel Dendy, signed with Texas A&M. Number 9, a guy from Rainier Beach named Josh Conley Jr. He's split between Washington and Michigan. And number 10 is Travis Shaw, signed with North Carolina. So as you see, most of these guys, a lot of these guys, the top 10, I can keep going, but if you look through the top 20, top 25, a lot of these guys are going to schools in the South, and especially the SEC. So when you look at this SEC bias, there's some of this stuff baked in there because they know, man, a lot of the talent is down there. I mean, but yeah, Texas A&M, they really put their imprint, and they're not done. Like I said, they're not done. And when all is said and done, this is probably going to be the greatest signing class, the greatest recruiting class in Texas A&M history. It pretty much is almost already, but when it's all said and done, it's definitely going to be there.
Yeah, and there's a lot that goes on in part of the shifting and, with the early signing. One of the things that a lot of times when people say that folks early sign, people think they already are into college. Some of this stuff is happening and people haven't been admitted to the universities. And people don't know that. Like there's a lot of talking, but then but if you check, there's no application in, and people have not been admitted. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. There's a lot of assumptions by the public that when somebody is signing, that means they've been admitted to the university. That means they're locked in, and those things don't align together. They're publicly saying I'm coming, but then there's other hoops they got to jump in. And so between this one and the next signing day, or you might see people decommit, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, or folks are in the pipeline. Someone didn't think they were going to get somebody, but now they got to open up a slot. There's a lot of jockeying that happens behind the scenes that I think is really important that we got to also acknowledge. I think it's interesting as somebody who works on a college campus. You see these people signing, but folks have not been admitted. So there's a lot of other layers to this that will continue to affect the way these classes are shaped. I don't know if I'll get Mo. I don't know if you had a chance to track some of this stuff. I know you down there in Illinois. I know you're an Illinois fan. Bielema trying to do what he tried to do. Bielema's philosophy is always he didn't worry about stars, because a lot of times, a lot of this stuff you also have to there's some development that has to happen with some of these players as well. So there's another piece to this as well. I mean, I looked at Clemson, their rankings for a long time. They weren't ranked a lot, but they were winning. And so Dabo then was developing talent. They had some really good players, but they also had some other type of players, and they were developing some great teams down there in Clemson. So, Mo, what's your thought? Have you been paying attention?
Yeah, a little bit. I'll take a little different perspective. I'll leave it to the expert to decipher there on some of these issues. But I'm looking at this in terms of what's going on in terms of, I think the landscape has changed, obviously, the last couple of years. One is that a lot of kids, you saw a lot of upsets in some of the college rankings or college games this last year, is that a lot of kids were able to come back and get that extra year in. Yeah. So that kind of, changed. I think a lot of the programs have a lot more talent than they probably would normally. So I'm interested to see how that kind of bounces back. And from what Darnell is saying, it sounds like, the bigger schools are probably going to start, getting the cream of the crop. So, are those kind of, mid-level schools going to be able to kind of compete, in the upcoming years, looking at that. And then actually I heard Bielema was actually on the score this last week. And he brought up another good point about, what's happening with the transfer portal too. So, that's kind of going to affect things too, because the kids who are actually coming out, so there's actually less scholarships for kids out there. So those kids who are not the top, level recruits, they're not getting the scholarships as much as anymore because these scholarships are going to the transfer kids. So this is actually going to be affecting, I think, the high school, rankings or developments in terms of how high school kids are going to get, into colleges, not the top level ones, but, those 4 and 3 star recruits, kids like that maybe aren't getting the scholarships they maybe would have gotten in the past. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays out here in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I
that's a
say
big point right there.
HBCUs. That's why I say HBCUs, like what's happening with the Eddie Georges in the world. I mean, I think that's where HBCUs have to start eating up, right? That's an opening space because there might be some shifts in availability of scholarships. Are there some high school recruits who would have been, looking at, maybe some Power 5 schools or some other stuff because of this transfer portal? Are in between that, they could probably build a roster in a different way as well. It allows Deion and other folks to build their rosters creatively in ways they couldn't do in the past. Hammer, let's bring you in.
Yeah, well, I first say that obviously it was a great coup for Hunter to go to Jackson State, but I think there's a backstory there that's coming out right now about Barstool Sports. That I'm not gonna. Deion's Deion, okay? Deion's dynamic, one of the best personalities, but let's be real. Ain't nobody flipping just to be flipping. There's some things, and it's legal what they did, but
I was about to say it's legal because Georgia.
yeah, it's legal. I'm just saying, but don't act like it's about Jackson State. It's about Deion. The bottom line, as soon as Deion leaves Jackson State, if he does, Jackson State will be back to Jackson State. So, but Deion, I think I'm glad he's staying there. I thought he would dip. I thought he would go to TCU or Florida State this year. I'm glad he's there. I want to see HBCUs be relevant. And also, you all making good points that the scholarships are this is not an endless supply. I mean, you have some talent that's going to be slipping through, and so the HBCUs. But the one thing HBCUs are going to have to do is that they're going to have to do these strategic partnerships like Deion has, and start selling their brand to the private sector to bolster so they can have the facility. Like Doug Gottlieb broke it down. Like, most of these HBCUs ain't got the facilities. I ain't put them down. It's just real talk. But they can do if they build strategic partnerships and understand that we can develop talent here, and especially talking about the transfer portal mess where you got the Quinn Avers and the Spencer Rattlers, all over the world jumping all around and really messing up as far as sign day. You have people like Lincoln Riley talking about sign day doesn't mean anything. The transfer portal means things. The USC don't get in on the transfer portal, and he will. He will because he'll be able to attract. He understands, and he's done it. And Oklahoma attract top talent like Murray and Hurts and Baker and bring them in the non-scholarship process. Remember that. And so that's the main thing. And let's talk about Texas A&M. Jimbo's earning his money. He has a $96 million buyout for a reason. The dude is top notch. He beat Bama. He's bringing it, and he's delivering. And I got to give – he's the star, really, of everything because he's beat out even Bama because he's got great facilities down there. And like we talked about, you can't beat the South. I mean, right now, I'm looking at my computer, 33 degrees in Milwaukee. Ain't nobody want to be with that, man. They want to be down there in Florida with my man Stan Davis, 80 degrees right now at the beach. That's the bottom line. You can train 24/7, 365 outside, especially with this COVID stuff. You definitely want to be outside. So Jimbo's got a great inherent advantage, and he's killing it. And he's earning. That's why he wasn't going nowhere. Ain't nobody buying no $96 million buyout because they know he's going to deliver. I mean, he's been at LSU. He's been at Florida State. Now he's coming to A&M. He's like, and he knew A&M. He went to A&M like, I'm going to bring it. We're in the SEC and we're in the state of Texas, and the Longhorns are raggedy. The other schools aren't that great. I'm going to clean up. I'm in the SEC. I'm going to clean up. And that's what he's doing. He's cleaning up. He's selling the program. He's selling his, not just the fact he brings in blue chips, but he develops blue chips. I give you an example, not to go off tangent, but we got a blue chip in Wisconsin, Logan Brown, ain't seen the damn field. A 5-star. Remember him down there?
Yeah.
You remember him, don't you?
Yeah, what class is he?
He hasn't seen the field. He's like in the witness protection program. I mean, he's a backup out there. He's a backup. Like, brother, when you gonna start? You're a 5-star. Now I hope he starts next year. But yeah, it's about talent development, blue chips. But shout out to Deion. But Mo brings the great point is that this is going to have to be an interesting talent development, really maneuvering the new world order, the NIL, the transfer portal, the HBCUs are going to be on the come up because there are only so many scholarships going to be able to give out. And also the final thing I'll say from a political, legal perspective, I know Devon loves me to bring this up. In Florida, they've got a bill now to try to limit the NILs because of the Travis Hunter, not Travis Henry, forget that brother, Travis Hunter situation. And you're going to see that this is going to be a visceral reaction. People are very upset because, again, you got brothers getting big paydays at 18 years old. It's going to be the same visceral kind of reaction when the Garnetts came out. I mean, I don't know if you saw the Garnett documentaries out there. It's great. Anyone who's watching this, see that that's must-see TV, that documentary about Kevin Garnett. That's must-see TV. We're going to start seeing the visceral reaction to this NIL. I have no problem with it. I mean, again, we're black men. We have visceral reactions to each other. Yeah. But cats better be ready and be able to maneuver because they're going to put stringent things on the state level because people are angry that Travis Hunter left Florida State. Because you're right, Darnell, this dude's out here being an ambassador for the program. And then I'm like, I'm going to Jackson State with Deion. Come on, man.
Yeah, I want to get here.
I get the brother Chris.
Go ahead, Darnell.
No, that's the business. That's the business, and so
those are really good points, Hammer, that you made. And one of the things I want to say, one of the underlying things that came from Lincoln Riley's comments that we see in baseball, that as a Brewer fan, you understand. Some of these programs don't understand that they might be becoming the minor league operations for these large programs. So the underlying thing is that you have coaches who are telling kids, hey, I don't have a scholarship for you, but why don't you accept that scholarship at XYZ University and then come to us through the transfer portal? So let the player development piece come in. And some of these other coaches don't even know that's happening, right? And so there's a whole other layer
they
of
the
this
fool
business.
what's happening. Because, for example, your guy KJ Osborne, he went to Buffalo for 3 years. Then he's at the U. And now he's in the league, balling.
Yep.
There ain't no coincidence, right, Darnell?
Well, it is a coincidence.
I mean, tell me.
Don't get me in trouble here on the air. We can't use that.
I'm not saying there's shenanigans going. I'm just saying that it's a perfect example of somebody who's at Buffalo.
You're talking about the model.
He's at Buffalo. He went to the U. And then now he's in the league because it was like a minor league for the U, right?
But
am I wrong?
But the difference is that wasn't the plan from the beginning. Like KJ was different. He was a different story because he was a graduate transfer. He wasn't one of those kids he went there for a couple of years and Miami was in his ear the whole time. That's not what happened. He went to Buffalo as a 2-star, right? KJ was a 2-star coming out of high school. He went over there as a 2-star after going to IMG Academy, and after that he put the work in. And he got better. And KJ, he's one of the models for hard work and just player development. And because if you've seen KJ back, when I played with KJ and the KJ you see now, it's a whole different animal because you could tell him everywhere he's been. He has that reputation. He put the work in, but it's not. It was not like a plan that he was going to go there for a couple of years and they was going to go to Miami. No.
But that's the question though. But see, you know this more than I do. How did 2-stars end up at IMG? I thought IMG was for. And I'm putting down 2-stars. I mean, I was a no-star. So I mean, I'm going to put there. So bottom line is that IMG. I thought he was at least a 3-star.
No,
that's the prep school, right? That's the prep school model where because he played for y'all, then did a prep school year at IMG.
Yeah, he went 1 year. He went 1 year at IMG. He left Lincoln after his junior year. Well,
after his junior year.
I'm 1 year older than him. So when I graduated,
his junior year, he played his senior year, like Jalen Johnson. tried to do. He played his senior year at IMG. So I'm glad. Again, this is why this is wonderful.
But see that
Darnell has so much
the
great
model
insight.
the model that he's describing for KJ is a model that's a real good model. The model I'm talking about is major programs managing their recruitment model and their flow, and the way they're able to get a release.
But that's the way it's going to happen.
That's how it's going to happen. So some of these
That's the way it
programs
has
who
to
are
go
getting some of these kids got to know that they might not have them for that long. Go ahead, Darnell.
Right. Yeah, but that's what I was trying to get in here and say because like the transfer portal, the thing with the transfer portal is, you know how many kids in the transfer portal right now? There's over 1,000 kids in the transfer portal right now, and we're not even to the end of bowl season. After bowl season, there's going to be more kids in the transfer portal, and guess what? After spring practice, there's going to be even more kids in that transfer portal. So the way the thing is going to end up happening is just like Devon said. These guys that might not be the 5 stars, these guys that are 4 stars and 3 stars, they're going to have to go to schools like Missouri, go to schools, the mid levels, Power 5s, or even smaller schools like that, like maybe like a Kentucky, Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go there for a couple years, and then they're going to transfer over to Alabama, Georgia. They're going to go to the bigger schools after they already developed. And they're going to end up on those teams before they go to the league. But yeah, that's just the consequence of this transfer portal. It's going to be interesting to see what kids go where, because if you look at these recruiting classes, this cycle has been a lot smaller than you've seen in past years because of the transfer portal.
That's what I was getting at. Yep.
Yeah. And Mo, I don't know if Bielema talked about this, but and a lot of these teams, I mean, because Bielema coming from his work with the NFL, he's got a whole team that's doing kind of looking at the transfer portal as if they were NFL talent scouts, right? So they're looking at it with the projection of what they would be in the NFL, which is not just evaluating the portal, but it's like coming at it like you are the player recruitment and draft analyst for the New England Patriots, right? You have that lens, but you're putting those kind of folks in your college environment. I know that's what Bielema is doing. Other people are doing. What's their projection? I mean, Michigan State is like the king. Look like they're the king of the portal, right? So they're analyzing these kids in terms of their projection to be in the NFL, which is a whole nother level of science. I don't know if Bielema talked about that. But yeah,
not in particular, but he just was kind of just get to the point that this is going to be just kind of changing the landscape, and that people don't realize. I think like Darnell was kind of saying as well that just because the kid transferred in the portal, those only a limited number of scholarships, so that's going to trickle down. It's going to have a trickle down effect. So it's going to affect the high school recruits. I mean, less kids are going to be getting scholarships.
So we're going to keep an eye on this. This is a great conversation. Please make sure you check us out at realsportsguys.com and, check this stuff. All of us are on our social media pushing this stuff out. Trying to do it. I wish we could bring you into our chat group because Darnell is always updating us. I got to get him to push that stuff out on his social media. But I've learned everything about what's happening in signing day this week. I don't have to go any farther in this chat group because Darnell is on top of it. So thank you for keeping us in the mix on this, youngin.
I agree. Darnell. Thank you, brother.
My goodness. Sure. I've learned more about this stuff than I even thought. I was like, wow, this has been incredible. All right, we're going to drop the mic. I just want to have each of us give our final word to the people, and just something that, you think folks need to pay attention to coming out here. So we'll end the drop the mic with Mo, since he's our sponsor, special guest. We'll start with you, Hammer, and go to Darnell, and then I'll hit it, and then we'll hit Mo.
Yeah, thank you all. The debacle of Urban Meyer is a perfect example of what's wrong with the NFL. What's wrong with the NFL is that we're not developing minority talent in a league that's 80% black to take these positions and rightfully earn these positions. It's a disgrace about, again, the dirt of coordinators, coaches in the NFL, GMs who can be put in leadership positions. We can play the game, but we can't coach, or we can't general manage a game. that's nonsensical, and that's really insulting. And so, not to be glad about Urban, but Urban Meyer again exposed the arrogance of the system, the problems where you have owners like Shad Khan who are talented guys. He's a billionaire, many times for a reason, but they need to stick to talent. And the bottom line is, I hope that this, again, I'm not a fool, but I hope that this allows the Louis Riddicks, the Eric Bieniemys of the world to get their opportunity to finally be able to be head coaches, be GMs. Because ironically, Louis Riddick was a finalist for that GM job in Jacksonville with Trent, and they went with Trent Baalke, another failure at San Fran. So, as far as it goes, I hope that the Urban Meyer debacle brings success to minority and Black candidates, head coaches, GMs, and let's put it, owners. Get some rich Black people to own. And so we can change and have diversity, equity, inclusion in the NFL on every level. Thank you.
Thank you, Darnell.
Hey, COVID's real. COVID is out there, and the pandemic is not over. I know we're going towards a stage of more of an endemic, but yeah, it's spreading around, and I know where I'm at in Michigan. We're at the numbers are increasing rapidly. So you guys just remember, wipe down your surfaces, wear your mask, be careful, and yeah, let's have a safe and happy holidays.
Thank you. Great words. We've had a number of conversations that have been intersecting today, talking about Urban Meyer, even talking about his past. Kind of what's happening in terms of this early signing period. The great work that Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State. He's not only been doing at Jackson State, he's been trying to make sure that he's also impacting his other colleagues. There's a lot going on, a lot of movement. And, in our previous show, we talked about, a coach not showing up at a press. We hear these coaches often, leaving, unfinished business for something bigger. I want to remind folks of there's a reason why these kids end up in the transfer portal. And they see the game. And they've watched enough people around them get the short end of this stuff. The genie is out the bottle. The things are happening. And one of the things I hope we do when we are looking at this stuff is that we continue to place a value on the future of these young folks. A lot of people, these young folks, I think about when I was 17 years old, 16 years old. I mean, if I was thrust into the limelight the way some of these young folks are thrust in and having to make the decisions they've had to make, I don't think I would have made good decisions because of everything that's out there. I think at some point, we got to find something that thinks about the welfare of these young folks. And everybody in this dynamic is getting paid, and they're starting to get paid. But even as you heard from Hammer, we got state legislators who are trying to cut that off. But none of them will ever put something in to cap a coach's salary. So there's so much hypocrisy in this. At the end of the day, are we really about what the NCAA says, that these young people go pro other than the sport that they play? And how do we help them do that? Or is it still about the bag? And so those are things that we have to kind of think about as we move forward this work. And you're going to hear us raising issues about that on RSG anytime we have the opportunity. And we'll finish with our Maurice Red from Red Insurance, and a friend of the program, a brother of the program, where educators get more than just insurance. Come on, Mo.
Wow. You guys put me on the spot here, man. Y'all was bringing it. So, you guys got a lot of things I was thinking about in terms of thoughts. And that's why I love RSG, because you guys kind of bringing it back to, more the real world too. So not just only sports, but looking at it through a larger lens as well. So that's why I love you guys and appreciate everything that's going on here. But yeah, I just really kind of echo some of the sentiments you guys are talking about. I think, that's kind of what's in the news right now. What's kind of happening right now is that, obviously, with Hammer's points about, Urban Meyer, I definitely thought about that as well. And I saw some of those comments from, Riddick in terms of just the fact that, a person like that who because of his name, he got the job, but in reality, the qualifications weren't even there. I mean, he hadn't even been coaching, in the college ranks before he got the job in the pros. So he wasn't even actively, in the sport at that time. And there's so many guys, especially, brothers who probably, I hope not probably have been working and toiling away at assistant jobs and other jobs, and who have been qualified and who actually, would have more relevant experience for the actual position that, that he kind of got there. So yeah, just kind of seeing those kind of things, definitely just kind of just brings to light, and seeing it kind of go up in flames like that, to see that a person like that can get that kind of position, and just privilege, and I think it's kind of just was pointed out in terms of all the things he did, bringing in that guy from Iowa who was, had a history of, the racism and things of that nature, bringing in, Tebow, just kind of giving him a spot to somebody else who probably deserved that spot, at least that practice spot, in terms of camp and those kind of things. And just kind of his ability to kind of do those kind of things is really kind of brings it to light. And, and obviously just the idea of what's happening right now with our COVID and how we just are just moving forward, and just, I think Hammer brought up, we think the numbers have, gone down, but actually we've had is probably about as many deaths in the last year as we had in the previous year. So, we've kind of used to it and kind of gotten acculturated to it now, but this is still a real big issue out there, and it's still affecting a lot of people, and especially people, of color more than the general public. So we're still, it's still a real thing out there we got to be aware of. So, but I appreciate you guys, and thank you for letting me hop in here on Saturday morning. And
you sponsored, you hop in anytime you want to.
Yeah, I'm just coming in and just be a part of this. It's Saturday morning. I heard you guys are on here, so let me hop on here. Had a few minutes to kind of see what's going on and to chop it up with you guys. So I love that. So thank you very much for having me on today.
All right, y'all. That's the Real Sports Guys here. The one mic. Please go to realsportsguys.com. You can also get us on all the other social media platforms on Real Sports Guys. Share your thoughts, like us. We're the little engine that could. We're the underground. We're RSG. See you on the other side.
Yes, today. Yes, today. As we start the show, this one mic.
We hail echoes throughout the stadium. There is a pause throughout the stadium as this man sounds like he just coughs up a lung. Just looking around, the Jumbotron shows and pans the cheerleaders, and as it goes down each cheerleader's face, each one breaks up into laughter, which at this particular time destroys half the stadium. The other half is still trying to figure out what the hell just happened. Does this guy need CPR or something? And then at that particular time, I lost it. Devon Druck.
Yes, today.
Blog Talk Radio.
Start the show, this one mic. Phoenix is another place. They got a great training staff. They were able to breathe life back into Shaq. And you can do that. People talk a lot about their training staff.
Blog